Good morning, the tube. So we've had a good weekend this weekend. It was the British finals from the IFBB NPC Tubers here in the UK, where obviously you would go to get your pro card, and it was a good one. It was actually nice because it was in Bradford, so it was only taking us like 30 minutes to get there. Usually the competitions do take a little bit of time for us to get there, so it's actually quite nice to have it pretty local. I had four ladies competing on the day of the competition in Bradford. And we firstly had Sophie in women's physique, and she won her class. She was getting toyed around between her and the lady who won the overall, Michaela. Michaela, at the moment, is definitely advanced in women's physique compared to Sophie, and she came up trumps. And obviously, Sophie still did a great battle, looked absolutely fantastic. This is the first season that she's ever done women's physique. She was doing wellness before, and it's definitely not her class. I'm not saying that she didn't look very good in wellness, but it just wasn't her class. She loves to train hard, especially in her upper body, and she grows. So it definitely made sense to go down the route of women's physique. And it's been great to be able to see her progression. And even throughout the season, we did the regional show. The idea was to get super peeled leading into the pro qualifier. Didn't have to do any silly protocols, no increased androgens or increased fat burners or even an adjustment in calories. It was simply just we knew the amount of body weight that she needed to drop leading into the pro qualifier, and we set that up nicely across the time into prep from that starting, especially because I'd worked with her for a long time, done some diets, etc. Just knew what the process needed to be, so it was very smooth. And she won her class, so I'm very happy. Then we had Steph, who came second in her class in figure. The girl who won her class actually went on to win the overall. She's a great competitor, very experienced, really fantastic physique. Steph looks great as well. This is her first time ever in the NPC across this season. She's done her regional show and won that. And then obviously leading into this competition came second, looked fantastic. She has a good amount of size. She still needs a little bit more size for figure, but she's definitely there. And I'm very happy with the physique that was presented. We've worked together for around 3.5 years now and put on so much size, especially since she stood off stage the last time. She could have done a lot better in a competition last time, but the nerves really did get the better of her. As soon as she went backstage, she was shaking. She couldn't even smile on stage, literally couldn't listen to the judges, didn't know where to stand, even though she'd done a lot of posing practice, and something that we always try and get the clients to do. The nerves just got the better of her, and that's not happened this season. She looked fantastic, presented herself so well, and I can't wait for the future for it. She's going to do the Romania competition in a few weeks that I'm going to go to, which will be nice. I've had Kerry compete there for a couple of years in the pro division, and I've actually got a few amateurs and a couple of pros doing it this year, so I'm excited to go to that. So she came second there, and it's going to be nice to experience a European International Pro Qualifier in a couple of weeks for her as well. I then had Fee and Anya both in bikini. Fee came fourth. She was disappointed. She was definitely upset with her placing. But we know that the goal this season was to do very well at her regional competition. The regional to a national competition is very different. Even if the lineup is the same, the judges are very different, and the quality of competition is always far different. So it plays into it a lot. Fiona looked fantastic. She's definitely very tired. She competed last season, wanted to compete again this season. For some people, they can do that on the bounce. For some of us, we can't. I didn't enjoy doing that when I did that. But some people can really flourish through them, and that's great. It's definitely time for Fee to take a little break, enjoy a nice off season, come back with some improved size. But the amount of progress that she's made in the small off season, from literally committing to the post comp phase in even a better way than ever before, because we always improve all the time. It's just been awesome to see the progress that she's made. So I can't wait for this one. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And she's so honest. We can have such great conversations, and she's a great coach. She's a really great human, and she makes so much progress, and she gives so much effort. So I can't wait for that to just continue to flourish. Anya has been my client for a very long time. I've been coaching Anya. She's my first ever client, so that's like 5 years now. And oh, she looked fantastic. She came second again in the overall, very close to winning her pro status. She's got lots of things going off in life at the minute, life things and career things, that it's time to end the season. Her body is definitely time for a little bit of a rest. So we'll land it there, and finish it there, should I say. And she will go into her off season, and then next year we will go back into prep again, probably for some mid-year competitions, which will be really nice. For us, I had Becky at the PCA, and she won her pro card, won her class. Great season that she's having. I've worked with Becky also for 3 years. A fantastic Masters competitor, works so hard. Just a pleasure to work with, and can't wait for more. We've got the Euro Masters in Milan in a few weeks that I'm really excited for her to go to within the NPC. And then we also had a gate event in the PCA as well. Didn't come in the placings, but it was a great look. And this year was about doing well in a regional show, which we did, came second and third. And then the national show obviously didn't quite get the top 3, but a fantastic look. And this year was about getting her love back for bodybuilding, because she'd lost it a little bit and taken a little bit of time away. She actually runs Cookie Dealer UK, if any of you follow that. She does fantastic cookies, and she's obviously always been around bodybuilding because she does so many of the competitions in the stalls, but with her cookies. And it was just nice to get her on stage, and I can't wait for her to improve her size a little, us to go through a real nice off season, and then just to continue to enjoy it. But that was this weekend. I'm going to show you some videos of the competitions now. And today is rest day. So I'm going to show you what I eat in a rest day to be able to build muscle. So first things first, I keep my health in a great space from utilizing Train by JP supplements. Use my code MEG10 to be able to use and buy them for yourself. And as you can see here, even though it's a little bit blurred, they're all our Train by JP. Cream of rices, the oats, obviously not all the buckwheat, but we can call it JP. And we'll just say use code MEG10 at Tesco's. You'll get kicked out apparently if you go to Tesco's and use my code. So my first meal is a pancake meal, and that is made by Kuba. If I made it, I'd still make it nice, but he definitely makes it better and he enjoys it, so it's nice to do that. But the actual things that are inside it will be 100 grams of egg whites, 2 eggs, 100 grams of sweet potato, 10 grams of iso, and that's all blended together. And then we put some blueberries on top, and this is what they look like. Lovely. And then we put the blueberries on top of it. I actually put a little bit of salt on top because my salt always is weighed in a nice little pot. For what I need every single day, I have a mix of both iodized salt and low salt to be able to keep my water balance and sodium levels in a perfect spot. And that is my pancakes that I am going to consume in a moment. The reason that we use those ingredients is just so that I don't eat. I really like cream of rice and I really like oats, but I do like whole foods a lot and like to eat a meal. So rather than just like having a bowl. So I only have my oats or cream of rice as a bowl of that once per day because I like it. I enjoy the taste, but I don't want to eat that all day every day. I've dropped down to 5 meals just because that's what works for me and my routine at the moment, and it's working really well. But all those products are obviously whole foods. Could we go down the route of saying that isolate isn't a whole food? Yes, maybe. But the quality of the one from Train by JP it's that much of a pure whole protein source that it is. And I'm going to consume that now, and then I will be back doing some bits in here and cleaning and cooking and preparing for the day. As you all know, that is my routine. And then I'll be back at my desk. This morning was all about working, making sure that clients got replied to, both in prep, both in off seasons, because it's Monday and it's the busiest day of the week, because Monday's always said busy in any job, I think, because people wait for the weekend to be over and then obviously have a little bit more of a conversation, which always makes Mondays busy. Not that that's a bad thing, but just means that we need to get crack-a-lacking in the morning to make sure that we can make the most of it. So I'm going to eat and then we'll talk again. So that is meal one eaten, jobs downstairs done, including the hoovering. Great way to get steps in, including walking the dog. Obviously that happened this morning. It's very wet in the UK, so my hair's a bit messy because being outside got wet and then come back home and dried like a wet dog. So I'm now going to get on with some more work. Obviously check-ins and stuff are done before I eat my breakfast, but then further replies or form clips etc. are done in this work block before we actually then move on to meal two. I do find keeping a nice routine like I did when I was working full-time really helps me to keep the workflow going. I think people become self-employed or maybe even online coaching, the same thing, and just they work all day but they just don't have a structure to it, and then they feel like they're working all day, and then sometimes they actually become very burnt out from it rather than keeping a good structure to it. And a good structure and flow, clients are going to enjoy that because they know when things are going to be replied to. They feel like it's consistent, which is actually a nice way to be, and it allows for me to keep structure to my day, keeping meal times good, keeping my actual sleep times really good, which helps with keeping appetite great, helps with keeping digestion good, helps with keeping mindset in a great place, allows for me to be able to have good quality sleep, allows for me to be able to have my sessions in and not have to kind of not do things for myself as well. And I think another thing when it comes to online coaching or self-employed with anything is not taking on too much, not to the point where you then can't keep on top of it, because I think that's very important as well. Essentially, consistency is the key with everything, and that comes with service, routine, etc. So I like to do that. I guess it's something that gets instilled with you from when you go to school, when you go into your first job, when you're in university, etc. If you want to excel at something, you have to stay consistent and you have to stay routined, and that's what obviously needs to be applied to coaching, if that's something that you do, or even anything that you do with a self-employed environment or full-time work, because you can allow for a routine with that as well, knowing you set work times and finish times, etc., just so that you can keep a good flow of life. Anyway, I'm going to get stuck into work before we head into meal two.
Your fist start to close, that's going to get more out of the pec than a bar out here.
So that was my sourdough and salmon. 100 grams of sourdough, 100 grams of salmon, 100 grams of salad, and it was really nice. I enjoy that meal. The reason I use it is because I enjoy bread. It digests very well for me. I don't have an issue with using it in an off season / grow phase, because it is very low volume, which is fine when obviously hunger isn't very high. When hunger is high, because calories in it are quite high per gram, you can't have a lot of it, especially when food starts going down. So if you want to stay fuller for longer, bread's probably not going to be your best option. Go with something a little bit more voluminous: rice, potatoes, cream of rice, etc. Pasta, like gluten-free pasta, or even just normal pasta if you digest that well, is probably going to be a better option rather than something like that. So that's the reason why in the grow phase I am using it. So essentially I am using bread to grow. And then my vegetables are there because I love veg. I always have, love all fruits, good fiber intake, good for the digestion, good for a hormone profile. If you're someone who struggles with essentially just bad eating habits, And if you do get hungry enough, you will like all fruits and vegetables. If you don't like fruits and vegetables, you've probably not gotten hungry enough to need them. But I've always liked them, even since I was a young girl. But 100 grams of literally each of those things: salad, bread, salmon. I could probably make my foods a little bit more fancy pants, getting a little bit crafty, especially with the macros. And I do that sometimes, like what we do with the pancakes and stuff. But I want to show the real me, in that, if you are someone who's busy day to day, that you do have to be quite efficient. And being efficient with my time is something that I eat good foods, I eat whole foods. They are always raw products, but it's not something that's going to take me an arm and a leg in terms of time to make. So that is why I go for things that are nice but simple. And essentially, if you are busy, which is the majority of people, and working full time, you need something that is good and tastes well and whatnot. And you do take effort with making your food so it tastes good, but so that it can actually be quick. And for me, that is quick. So gonna eat that, then gonna get and head back to doing some work. And just had my weekly hair wash. Yes, weekly. Don't wash it more often than that, so that it actually builds up its natural oils. And I actually have quite long hair, so don't wash your hair a lot. And I just eat a meal three, and I might have forgotten to get you a video of it, so I will try and get you a video of it the next time I do a rest day. But it'll just be a little bit different. So that next meal was 50 grams of oats, 30 grams of whey, 100 grams of berries, and 10 grams of dark chocolate. Quick and easy, sweet, nice, etc. Sometimes I actually do salmon and potatoes, or beef and potatoes, or chicken with a fat, like avocado, olive oil, because that's really nice with potatoes, especially on the pan, made really lovely. I'll change it sometimes to a savoury meal if that's something that I do want. Even when I was in the peak of my competitive career, maybe not right towards the end of a competition prep, or like halfway through a competition prep, I would still make swaps if I wanted to, because if you don't have variety and you don't change things, especially if you fancy them, it drives your hunger crazy. It will make you more food focused. It will probably make you want to fall away from your plan. I know that Kuba talks about it a lot, and probably people think, oh, they're just talking shit. But I'm serious. Like, since I've finished my competitive bodybuilding career in 2024 at the Olympia, I have probably had an off plan meal 5 times. But I make my evening meal like it's a home cooked meal every night. It's not, I just don't feel the need to do it. Me and Cooper go for the cinema, go out and do some bowling sometimes, to spend time with each other, etc. It's not always food stuff. We'll go for sushi. Um, we've been we went to a steakhouse, and that was really disappointing. The thing is, because we cook so well, half the time when we go out for food, it's a little bit of a disappointment. I went out with my friend to a restaurant that me and Cooper have been so many times in London, called Hakkasan, and it was amazing. It actually used to have a Michelin star. And I looked at the menu, I was like, oh, it's a little bit cheaper. And then I looked, and the front no longer had the Michelin star. I'm not snobby at all. And we actually only went there because someone bought us a gift voucher once. So we went, and it was so disappointing. It wasn't very nice at all. So that's the only reason why I don't. I mean, maybe we might get a little bit more social with food as we get older and stuff, but we just don't have the want to do it. And because we eat foods and have variety and understand what macros are and how to swap them, and still have the same foods each and every single day for a meal, like, I wouldn't macro match for a day. So I wouldn't go, right, my calories for the day are 205. 2005, and I'm going to have that in one sitting, and then for the rest of the day I'm not going to eat anything, because that's what a lot of people get confused with matching macros. If you're going to match them, especially as a bodybuilder, you need to do it per meal based on that meal's macros, and still using good quality whole foods like what you've got set on your plan if you're going to do it. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. You can stick to the most plain and boring foods if you want to. Do I think that the majority of people are going to stick to that long term? Absolutely not now. So variety is key. Understanding macros is key. Swapping and changing if you do want to, but still keeping to them macros for that meal is great. Like slight deviations where you take some fats out of somewhere to make way for it in somewhere else is absolutely fine. But for the most part, like literally sticking to the macros per meal is what you need to do. You don't have to change things, but if you want to, the ability to do it is there. If you don't and you don't make your foods nice, do I think that it's something that you're going to be able to stick to long term? Probably not now. Anyway, that was 50 grams of oats, 30 grams of whey, 10 grams of dark chocolate, and 100 grams of berries. And we'll be back with another meal in a little bit after a meeting with Kuba about MK. And we are going to the World Bodybuilding Summit this weekend, so about the guest speaking seminar that obviously we're going to be a part of and talking about, and that will be that, a little bit of extra work, and then back with another meal in a moment. So that is meal 4, which is 100 grams of chicken, 100 grams of sourdough, 100 grams of potato, and 100 grams of salad with a little bit of sauce on there. That is literally my evening meal that I will have. Sometimes I have beef and rice. Don't like to have loads of beef. Obviously, the bioavailable iron in beef, and obviously the fact that there is a little bit more fats in there. I didn't want it to start affecting things because my iron levels were a little bit higher than usual. Again, I do take quite a bit of vitamin C, so it could be from the saturation of that, but again, I don't actually supplement with iron, so just trying to reduce it where possible, which is obviously not having as much spinach and not having as much beef either, so either way, I am fine. And that is my 4th meal. I'm going to eat that now, and then we'll be winding down for the evening. Try to make sure that all work is done by about 6:30, 7. Make sure that everything is popped away so we can enjoy a little bit of downtime on the sofa, and then we will be heading in for the last meal. And then tomorrow will be a training day. All this food fuels me really well. I don't feel nervous about eating. I know that a lot of females feel that way. I never feel like, oh, I can't eat because I'm going to gain body weight. I was definitely like that when I was younger. And then I realised that when I actually ate well, and yeah, you know, when you're in a peak off season, you are pretty much overeating. So yes, you are going to build more weight, a little bit of extra body fat. Doesn't feel the nicest. But I know that if I eat food and eat to my needs, that it's not gaining too much body fat, or it's just a little bit. And then obviously in diet phases will just come off. Essentially the best thing is if you don't overeat, you don't binge, etc. That's when obviously you're going to run into problems. But decent portions of good foods, obviously yes, if you want to do a diet and pull back, you can do that, but you should never be afraid to eat. And I think that a lot of females are, and males, so don't be that way. Otherwise you'll probably find that your progress will limit, your hormone function will limit, your sleep will not be the best, your performance in the gym because of the recovery and the sleep being worse will be obviously worse. You find that a lot of people that restrict a little end up at a time where then they'll overeat a lot, and you just don't want to end up in that cycle. So eat well, don't be afraid of it. Food is not the enemy. So the next meal that you will see is going to be my last meal, which is again pancakes with the same ingredients as my first meal that you saw, which is, actually it's not. This morning's one was just the sweet potato. So I have sweet potato, egg whites, and I also have my oats and cream of rice in there. And then on top I have my whey and my fruit, which is absolutely phenomenal. I like to have a nice mix of savoury and sweet. The foods that I've got at the moment are just a little bit easier to prepare, etc. Just with kind of busyness, but also a lot more travel, because it is the busy part of the season for competing and going abroad and going to competitions here in the UK. It just means that it's very not easy to grab, but just they're types of foods that I can get in every country. They're easy to make, they're easy to transport, most importantly, just meaning that it works well. I will likely, like I said in my earlier part of the video, I do often swap things, especially when I'm at home, to like rice and chicken, beef and potatoes, things like that. But when I'm travelling, these are the types of foods that work really well. And today I actually just fancied eating what was on my meal plan, just to show you what I am eating and to show you that, you shouldn't be afraid of food. Like, don't be afraid of food. Everybody has a really bad negative thing to say about bodybuilding. And, there's definitely parts that are negative. You can maybe even see the diet as being controlling. For me, the diet actually taught me that I can eat. Because when I was younger, I didn't. I was brought up in an environment, not from my family, but more so from a sporting environment where people would make you feel bad about adding a little bit of body weight, especially when I was changing from being a girl to a lady and going through the changes as obviously getting my period. I added some body weight and I couldn't eat anymore like I did when I was younger, and I accumulated some body fat, and I was just going through that change. It wasn't bad, it was just puffy, and people made me feel so bad, and that created for me to be a little bit restrictive. And bodybuilding taught me that I didn't need to be that way to look great. And if that's something that can teach to other, not even just females but males, then use that for the positive that it is. Yes, end of a competition prep's probably not healthy. Yes, the PEDs that get utilised aren't healthy. Can they be done in a safer manner? Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to say that they aren't risk-free, because they are risky, but they can definitely be done in a way that are safer. And if you choose that, you obviously choose it yourself. But again, bodybuilding at its core, eating well, training hard, improving your physique, keeping your mindset and mentality strong, is not a negative thing. And if anybody tries to tell you that because it's different to them going out for, and again, no issue with them going out for a chip shop every Friday, etc. But again, if that's not what you want to do and you want to eat well all the time and you don't fancy going and doing that, like, don't do it. If that doesn't create happiness for you, don't do it. But use the positives for what they are. Yes, there is negatives, but there is negatives to everything in life. So don't let people not, or make you not do it just because what people are trying to say to you. I'm actually staying up a little bit later tonight because I have some clients competing in Singapore. Well, they're not actually competing in Singapore, they're competing in Vietnam, but they are obviously from Singapore. I need to wait until they have checked in the morning so I can reply to them so that they can get to their stuff. So yes, I try and do the majority of my work in a timely fashion. My working hours for me would be 5 o'clock in the morning until about 7 o'clock at night time. But when it comes to competitive season and when clients are obviously needing those consistent replies, and especially if it's a show day, like I'll do all-nighters when my clients are competing in Australia, etc. Like it changes because you've got to do your job. But for the most part, I try and make sure that my day set times are the kind of 5 a.m. to 7 p.m, which is obviously pretty lengthy, but needs must if you want to make sure everybody has a great experience. And I'll be staying up, making sure that everybody's staying nice and confident leading into their comps. Winding down a little bit for this season now. Pretty much the majority of my clients, yes, we have still got some people on comp prep, 10 of them, but the guys that have just competed, they're also still doing daily check-ins as well to make sure that we can reverse out really well. So busy, but we make it happen. The next thing that you will see will be my last meal. Everything is utilising, well, the things and products that is trained by JP Nutrition. Use my code MEG10. Hopefully you've enjoyed my video, especially about what I do or what I eat to grow. If you make the pancakes, let me know if you got to the end of the video. Hashtag grow season. Stay tuned for another video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and you are back again for another video.
And they from You gotta keep the same energy. It's crazy. It's all